An atrocity in Ukraine that plumbs new depths. The search for survivors continues after a theatre sheltering women and children is flattened by a Russian shell. Well, let's go to the ongoing horror of the war in Ukraine now. And a Russian airstrike on a school and community centre has killed 21 people. It happened near the country's second city, Kharkiv. The latest apparent targeting of civilians follows the attack on a theatre in the besieged city of Mariupol. There were fears the many residents who've been seeking shelter underneath that building may have perished. But there are reports tonight that there are indeed some survivors. And as Garrett Vincent reports, others have also managed to escape the city.
The killing in Ukraine can happen anywhere. Just before dawn this morning, missiles destroyed a school and a community centre in Mareva, in the northeast of the country. This was the aftermath. 21 people died here. Shortly afterwards, Ukraine's president visited a hospital to praise the spirit of the survivors of attacks on civilian areas in Kyiv. This morning he addressed German parliamentarians. Russia is making war on our cities, our homes and our schools, he told them. The occupiers, he said, have killed 108 children so far. The smoking ruin glimpsed in this footage is what remains of a theatre in Mariupol. Hundreds of people were hiding in its basement when an airstrike hit, after they had done their best to make clear that it was a place of refuge. In this satellite image from a couple of days ago, you can see the theatre as it was, and a word written in Russian on the ground at each end. Children, it says. In this video, you can see what conditions were like in that basement. But according to initial reports, it saved lives.
We started to clean rubble. Of course, it's really hard. It's really difficult because shelling never stops and artillery works all the time. But looks like people are safe.
Вину за все случившееся в Мариуполе, в частности, в контексте.
Russia's denials of attacks on civilians are fierce. The regime in Kiev tries to blame us for the theatre attack, says the Foreign Ministry spokeswoman. They say we dropped a bomb on it, but this, of course, is a lie. This was a line of cars heading out of Mariupol today. In the windows, families have put up signs which say that same word, children. But in this merciless war, it's a word which offers no protection. Garrett Vincent, ITV News, Lviv.
Well, our global security editor Rohit Katru is in Kyiv. Rohit, we're hearing, aren't we, that the Russian ground offensive has stalled. What's your assessment of what's happening there?
Well, overwhelmingly, that seems to be the case. 3 weeks in and the Russians still don't have air superiority. 3 weeks in and they're still struggling to get hold of small commuter towns, not just a few miles away from where we are now, such as Irpin, a small town, population similar to that of Livingston or Canterbury, and 2 miles away from this airfield, this key airfield that 21 days ago the Russians were proudly proclaiming that they'd taken over. So things have moved slowly since then in some parts for the Russians. They've moved backwards in other parts. And today a Western official conceded that the Allies thought now that it wasn't inevitable that they would launch an assault on this city at all, even though they continue to make the necessary preparations. One unknown remains what the Chinese government does. The Russians continue to make appeals there. We learned today that the Russian foreign minister tried to fly to Beijing yesterday and for some reason turned around mid-flight. It seems that the Chinese are still formulating their approach towards this conflict, and their decision on that front may well be really important.
Rohit Katru in Kyiv. Stay safe. Thank you.